Loving the Divorce Podcast? Take it further with Amicable Space, our exclusive membership for people navigating separation and divorce. Get expert webinars, exclusive content, a supportive community, and our Amicable Extras podcast with extended interviews and expert insights. Join today at amicable.space/membership because the right support makes all the difference. Welcome to the Divorce Podcast, where we explore relationships, divorce, separation, and parenting apart. This episode is part of our new mini-series where we answer your questions and share practical bite-sized tips. I'm your host, Kate Daly, a relationship counsellor, divorce specialist, and co-founder of Amicable, the online legal service for separating couples. In this mini episode, I'll be sharing practical tips on how to navigate shared friendship groups after an amicable separation. I'll also offer some advice for friends of separating couples. And this conversation is really going to focus on situations where things end on good terms, and I'll cover some guidance for higher conflict separations in an upcoming episode. Now, research shows that divorce can sometimes weaken social ties, especially with mutual friends or in-laws. But studies also make it clear that the level of conflict really matters. When a separation is less conflicted, people are much more likely to keep those friendships compared to a split where it's full of tension and hostility. This is particularly affecting men as well, and men often lose friends far more quickly and to a greater degree in a separation than women do. First of all, I'm going to start with some tips for separated couples navigating friendship groups. I always think the most important thing is to try and have a conversation about what you're going to do with the friends. We've all seen those awful kind of memes where it's who gets the friends in a divorce, but that doesn't have to be the case. It's perfectly possible for both of you to stay in touch and be friends with a shared group of friends. The key to this is having a conversation and talking directly to each other about how you're going to manage that. So if you're still in touch with your ex, as usually people are when the split is amicable, talk to them about upcoming social situations and how you want to handle them. Having that sort of expectations exchange and setting expectations will help avoid awkwardness at a later time or during the event. I think it's really important to be clear about what you're comfortable with. And just because you've had an amicable split, it doesn't mean you have to stay besties with everybody and keep going out in a shared group. It's really good to define what's comfortable and what's not. And you can let friends know gently if you're not ready for a big group event where your ex will be there. Boundaries are healthy and they don't need to be nasty or difficult or unfriendly. Setting a boundary and being clear on what works for you and what doesn't really is the way forward. I think the other thing is not to overshare. So even when you've had a really peaceful, amicable split, you can sometimes overdo the sharing about exactly what's happened and who's been involved. And turning group chats into therapy sessions is obviously something that's very easy to do, but it's definitely something to be avoided. So appreciating that only the two of you are the people who know what's gone on in that relationship and keeping it that way, protecting your ex's privacy, will go a long way to helping keeping everybody amicable and talking and being able to be in the same friendship group. So if you're in that situation where you find yourself using WhatsApp or your other groups as therapy sessions, it's often a sign that maybe you need to find a therapist and lean on a friend who's maybe outside the group or get some professional help. I think remembering at this stage to be kind to yourself is also important as well. You really have to understand that you can only control the controllables. So what you do and what you say you control, but you can't control how friends will respond. So focus on what you can do and try not to get upset or angry with people that you can't control or have no control over. Usually they're not doing it out of malice. They're doing it because they don't know any better, or they're trying to be helpful or trying to do the right thing. So focusing on yourself, being kind to others and yourself at this time will help allow things to settle down. And then you can have a more constructive conversation when you can respond rather than react. I also want to talk briefly to friends of people who are getting divorced and who are separated. So the friends of the separated couple, if you like. I think the biggest thing in this is, if it's possible, try not to pick sides. Unless the breakups involved harm or abuse, try and stay as kind and neutral to both people as you possibly can. Only they know what's gone on, so you being involved in their breakup isn't going to be helpful. Be inclusive, but also respect boundaries. So it's fine to invite both people to an event if you want to, but make sure you give them an easy opt-out option without any pressure to attend. Just allowing them to take their time and to work out whether they do or don't want to be part of that bigger group is really important. So don't be offended. Even if it's your really special event, it might not be possible for both people to attend. You can check in privately. A quick text before a group plan goes out on the group chat goes a real long way to getting the tone right and to making sure you don't upset or offend either. So just making sure that you check in with them on a one-to-one basis can really help before just assuming that everybody's friendly and the friendship group will carry on. The final thing to say is almost a bit counterintuitive. Don't over-congratulate them and their maturity. If you make somebody the poster child for an amicable split, it can inadvertently pile on pressure and can make them feel really uncomfortable. And it can also go some way to imploding what they've done and how well they've done. So be realistic. Just allow things to settle down. Take it one step at a time. Don't check in and ask the other person if it's okay to ask the other person this or that. Don't do that and try and be political about it. But just check in on an individual basis and make sure that you remain friends where you can with both people, even if that means spending time with them individually at the start. I hope it's been useful and interesting. For separation and co-parenting support, please visit amicable.co.uk, where you can explore our resources or book a free advice consultation. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to hear more of these kinds of tips, or you can find out about new podcast episodes by subscribing for updates and visiting thedivorcepodcast.com or on your favourite listening platform. And finally, don't forget, we love hearing from you and we like to know the topics that are important to you. So do share your questions on divorce, separation or co-parenting with us at hello@amicable.co.uk. And you never know, they might just end up being the topic for the next episode. Thanks for listening.